Hello, and welcome to the Bold Leadership Stories Show, where we talk about the experiences shaping exceptional lives. Today, I have the honor and privilege of speaking with Ann Townsend. Ann is a founder of uh, One Dream at a Time. Did I say that right?
Granted,
Grant a
granted.
Dream. And you're transforming lives one dream at a time.
Yes, you had it. Yeah.
And you have an amazing background. You're a mom of four. You've had special needs kids, and you've been active in the community for years and years and years. One thing that I saw was really cool in you described in your bio that you work with a church group that does sidewalk Sunday schools. I wanted to learn more about that.
Oh, well, that was in the past, but yes, that's what one of the ministries that we did out of our church, and we would go into some of the low income housing projects,
Okay.
and on a Saturday, and we would just round up all of the kids that would come out, and we had the coolest. Used to be a food truck, and they cut out the side, and they made a drop down and then our team would go inside of it and do shows from inside. We'd play music. All the kids would sit down in front of the truck on the grass. We'd bring candy. We would bring food. We would bring gifts, toys, all that kind of stuff. And we would do sidewalk Sunday school with them right there on the sidewalk in their housing community. And it was one way to take church to them because a lot of them couldn't get to church and they loved it.
Yeah. Oh, that's
They would get to
fantastic.
interact. Yeah, they would interact and win prizes for interacting.
Mhm.
But when they knew we were coming, you could just watch them. They would just come out by the droves. And then the parents would stand around and listen. And we'd always give a message. And it was really special. So, yes, we did that for quite a few years.
Oh, that's beautiful. And you and your husband have been married for what, 40 years?
40 years. Yes.
Wow, congratulations. How did you
Yeah.
guys meet?
In church.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, we met in church, walking through the hallways, and it's kind of interesting. I walked by him and I saw him, and I'm not exaggerating. There was like an electricity that just connected us. That
Mm.
as he went by, I was like, who was that? Because I felt it. So not too long from then we started dating, but yeah, we met at church.
Oh, that's beautiful. And you have four kids and 10 grandkids now.
Yes.
And you
Yeah.
mentioned before we got started on the show that you get to spend time with them. So they all live pretty close by.
7 of them live near here, near us in Denver. 2 boys and 7 grandkids. And then we have 2 daughters who live in Texas within a half an hour of each other. And then there's 3 more grandkids there. So I go back and forth and I get to see all the grandkids doing that.
Awesome.
And I love spending time with them. If you want
Oh,
to stay
yeah.
young, hang out with your grandkids.
Well, yeah, you've got lots of blessings with that. I've got one granddaughter, and that's just
Mm,
such a joy.
it is.
Had them over for Christmas dinner and got to spend. Um, my both my mom and dad passed away recently, so I've kind of taken on some of the family heirlooms,
Yeah, the traditions
the
and
traditions. Yeah, I've got the old the hutch, with the silverware in it, and I've got the dining room table and the chairs, and the chairs. My mom actually crocheted the covers on the seats,
oh,
and
wow.
so it was really just, I didn't think it would, as a guy, it's like, big deal, but it really helped to make that special for me and to have those
Oh,
family heirlooms around, and it was fun.
gosh, I bet. Yeah. Brought back the feeling of your parents being there.
Yeah, yeah. So they're here, definitely
Yeah.
right there.
Mm.
So you in your development of Grant a Dream, the foundation that you started, and that's a 501c3, yes?
Yeah.
Yes. So,
Yes.
you're helping families to explain to me what it is that Grant a Dream does.
Sure. Our mission, this is our mission statement, is to bless chronically ill or special needs kids with happy and hopeful parents. So we help the moms and dads that are caregivers raising a child that's got a chronic illness or special needs, and we provide them with a dream time of rest away for a few days. If you're in the caregiver community much, you find out that they burn out quickly.
Hmm.
And so to get them restored, they need to be able to get away from that stressful situation at home and
Mhm.
just get away. So we provide that kind of like Make-A-Wish does for the kids. We do for the parents just a little bit differently. The parents don't want to go to Disneyland and ride rides. They want to go somewhere quiet and sleep, be together, rest. They just need some downtime for their minds to decompress, their bodies to decompress. And we provide that, uh, everything. Where they stay, their food, we find them some wonderful activities. So for instance, this last summer, we
While
did,
you're explaining that, I'm going to bring up your website here.
oh, sure. We did 3 different group dreams last summer, and we did them in Winter Park, Colorado, which is a beautiful area.
Mm-hmm.
And so up there during September, they got to ride the gondola. There was a hot sulfur springs nearby. They were able to go to that. And then they just kind of walked around and did whatever they wanted. But we just provide a few activities. They want to do a couple, but they don't want to do a lot. They just want to sit, rest, talk, get to know each other again. So we just provide the place. And what I also love is that we always do a big get together with each group. And this year we did s'more social. So they come, we get them all registered. And then that night, there's an amazing fire pit out front of the hotel. And we all
Mm-hmm.
gather and we roast s'mores. I share my story and just connect with them, welcome them to share their stories, which they do. And then we just start this magical connection between all of us. And it's a new community then of support to them. So they not only get away and get the rest time, but they get support. They get to go home and say, wow, I'm not the only one going through this.
Mm-hmm.
Such and such, and she shared her story with me. And then they support each other. So it's a beautiful thing that happens.
Wonderful. What was it, and that gave you the inspiration to start Grant a Dream?
Well, I'm a caregiver myself. My youngest daughter was born with a really rare liver disease, diagnosed at 7 weeks old, and she had to have major surgery right then just to save her liver. And so we spent the first 16 years of her life in and out of Children's Hospital, just taking care of that precious liver. And finally, at 16, she had her first liver transplant.
Mm-hmm.
And that went well for a few years, but then it started to struggle and have some issues. And at age 24, she had a second liver transplant. And all during that time, I was Hannah's main caregiver. Um, and so after her second transplant, when she was well and she decided to move from Colorado, her and her husband, back to Texas, it was the first time I had any time to myself. And I knew for a while that I wanted to serve, I wanted to give back, I wanted to do something special. I just didn't know what it was yet. And so having that downtime for my brain to receive, I was sitting at my kitchen table one morning and I've been asking God, what is it? what is this inside me that I know I want to do? And it just kind of downloaded. And it was this, it was Grant a Dream. And I was kind of inspired because we were able to take a wish. They granted Hannah a wish when she had her first transplant.
Mm.
And being able to get away as a family for the first time like that and feel normal and make memories, laugh, even though the kids were with us, they provided everything. We didn't have to plan anything. We didn't pay for anything. They picked us up. Hannah picked Hawaii. So we went to Hawaii for 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
We came back. It was the most beautiful, stress-free experience we'd ever had.
Mm.
And that's what gave me the idea of Grant a Dream. Make-A-Wish grants wishes to the kids. We grant dreams to the parents because the parents just get so exhausted and burnt out that they need someone to come in and say, hey, we see you. We see that you're struggling, and we want to help you get away for a time of rest to reboot, rejuvenate you so that you can go back home and continue to take great care of your kids. And so that's how it started. It's from me being a caregiver, knowing what they need, knowing what they go through, and just really a passion that I wanted to help them.
Mm.
And this is how I can help them because I get them. I understand them. I'm still doing some caregiving with my daughter. So I see their hearts, I see their struggles, and I know what they need. And so I wanted to provide a way to help with some of that. And that's how Grant a Dream was born.
Wow. That's amazing. So you had that epiphany or that download um, that gave you the inspiration to go ahead and, I mean, it's not trivial to put something like this together. It
No.
takes a lot of very focused effort in a team, I would think. Um, how has that been? How's that journey been for you? And have you been able to actually help families?
We have, and it has been incredible. The good thing is when I started it, I didn't know what I didn't know. So I just blindly jumped in with excitement and faith. And it's a
Okay.
good thing I did it that way, because if I would have found out some things, I might have gotten scared and not gone ahead with it. But I asked my best friend, Emily, when I got the idea, I called her up right away and told her, and I said, would you do this with me? And
Mm.
she immediately said yes, because she's been a caregiver to a few of her family members.
Okay.
So first thing we did was we got our 501c3, and then we started some social media. And then little by little, we just started sharing who Grant a Dream is and our mission. And it's truly been incredible. It's 6 years later, and I'm a totally different person than the one who started it. I've grown a lot through this journey, and
Mm.
it's been great. It's not always been easy, but it has been great. And we have been able to help a lot of families. The first year, we granted one dream, and then 3, then 6, then 7. We even continued to grant dreams through COVID. We just did them here in Colorado, up in Keystone. And so that was so exciting to still be able to help families through COVID. Last year, we granted, or excuse me, 2022, we granted 12 dreams. And
Mm.
at that time, we were kind of doing them one by one. They would be nominated. We would pick them, call them, and I would have a conversation with them and say, what is it that would just really nurture your soul? And what would you want to do that would bless you? This is where we're going to send you, but what would you like to do? And we just kind of created it around that. We had one couple that hadn't been able to go fly fishing together, and they love to do that. So we were able to get them a fly fishing tour, and that was their main adventure on their 5-day trip. So we curated them one by one, but then to be able to help more people, we decided last year to go to a group dream. And so it was a 3-night stay up in Winter Park. The first group, I believe, was 11 couples. Then we helped, I think it was about 23 couples. And then in September, we helped 33 couples, I believe. So we granted 73 dreams last year, serving about 140 caregivers. So yes, we've just continued to move forward and find ways to help more caregivers quickly. And our goal this year is 250 dreams, serving about 500 caregivers. And that's because my goal for 2026 is 1,000 dreams, serving about 2,000 caregivers. So we're scaling, and it's been very exciting, and a way has just always shown itself to us, just like the group dream strategy came up to us last year, and that changed everything for us.
How did that come about? What was the genesis of that idea?
Just through conversation with our team, we realized, okay, we can't keep doing one here, one there, all in different locations. The time to plan it, the finances, everything. And then that's when one of the team members said, well, what if we do group dreams? We find one place, one hotel to host them, and we bring in as many as we can. And we do a 3-night, which works perfectly for our caregivers. Sometimes they have a hard time even getting away for 3 nights. So that's perfect for them. They'll usually find a family member or a really good friend that knows their situation, knows their child, and the child and them feel very close to them and safe. And they leave the kids with them and then come on up to the dream. So it has worked out really, really well. And I think we're going to stick with that in this year also, so that we can increase to 250 dreams. We're going to do a lot of it up in Winter Park again. And we're just changing up our venues a little bit so we can grow.
Nice. Do you keep in touch with the families that you've granted dreams to?
We do. That's one thing that we decided we wanted to do a couple of years ago is create a community. It's not just we grant you a dream and then you go home and we never connect with you again. So we've developed a Facebook community with them that we set up with them for the group that they go on. And then we stay in touch through Facebook. And there's many of them we've gotten really close to at the dream. And then we stay in touch. So for example, there's a couple that we granted a dream to in 2022. They were one of the last single where we created it for them. And that was because it was a very special situation, but we sent them to Florida for 5 nights.
Okay.
They have 2 boys with special needs, very serious special needs that just take mom's full-time attention. And when dad's home, also his. And we could see that they were really struggling and they really needed something special. They needed to get away for an extended period of time. So that was fun. We sent them to Florida. And so ever since then, we've stayed in touch with them. As a matter of fact, they used to live just about 5 minutes down the street from me. So I was able to stop by from time to time and just say hi. And they even invited us over for a barbecue. And not all of them are that way, but the ones that allow us in, we try and stay in touch that way. Some of them become volunteers with us. 3 of the dream recipients have become very intricate volunteers for us because they just love what we're doing and they're so grateful and they want to give back. So they just come to us right away and say, what can we do? So we really place an importance on keeping a community with them, staying in touch with them.
Nice. How about how do you select, or how are the families? And I'm thinking single moms too.
Mhm. We've helped a lot of single moms. Yes. So the way we started was I reached out to another nonprofit here in Denver that was recommended to me. And they're called Hope Kids. They're a wonderful group that they provide activities for families that are raising a child with a chronic illness or special needs. So they were the parents we wanted to help.
Mm-hmm.
So I met with their executive director, sat down and told him about us and what we wanted to do. And I said, will you give me a chance to prove ourselves trustworthy and grant some dreams to your parents? So they referred some names, and that started the ball rolling. I would call them up and talk to them and just have a conversation with them. Many of them at the very beginning, they would say to me, is this really real? This sounds too good to be true. But we would just talk to them for a little bit, explain what we wanted to do and why. But we started with one nonprofit referring their parents to us. Then we expanded to another, to another. Right now, I'm so excited that we've developed a relationship with the Children's Hospital here in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
And they've allowed us to come in and share with many of their departments what they do, what we do. And then they share that through those departments to their parents. And they can then go on and fill out our application. So we keep it a little bit controlled. We don't put it on our website yet because we're not ready for that type of growth.
Mm-hmm.
But we've opened it up to many, many, many nonprofits now and Children's Hospital so that those parents can just go on and fill out an application. And I love that we don't have big criteria. The only criteria that we have are two things: that you can find someone to stay with your kids, because we don't have that component, and then that you've been a caregiver for 4 years. And that's because we really want to help the moms and dads that are in burnout, the ones that have been caring for their child 10, 15 years.
Mm.
And so we say yes to everybody else. And we love that.
Beautiful. My second daughter was born with a, a kidney issue.
Mm-hmm.
And 3 weeks old, she was not thriving. Took her to the hospital. It took them 3 days to figure out what was going on with her. And kind of find out the ureters, the tubes, little tubes that go from the kidneys to the bladder, were malformed. And then the transition from those ureters, the tubes, into the bladder was wrong. And they could do surgery on it, but she needed to be bigger for her to survive the surgery. And she was getting what they call reflux, that urine was going back up in her kidneys, and she was in continual kidney infection, very painful, and on antibiotics until she was 9 months old.
Oh boy.
And that 9 months, just that short 9 months, was very, very difficult.
It's very
So
stressful. Yeah.
yeah,
So
I
you have a
mean,
little bit of an idea of what a
yeah,
caregiver.
a little. I can't. It's like, wow, we're really, really blessed that we had an amazing surgeon that went in and rearranged everything and fixed it the first time, and she's been fine ever since. She's
Oh,
27 now,
wow.
or
That's great.
or yeah, 28 now. So, yeah, blessed with that. But yeah, I understand a little bit. And then my girlfriend Lisa's a mom to two special needs kids as well,
Okay.
and they're both older now. But hearing her stories, I can
Mm,
relate.
yeah. It takes a toll on the parents physically,
Yeah.
mentally, emotionally. and they really do need our support. And it's an area that there's just not much awareness around it. What we have found out is that, and I experienced it myself, they just do whatever they have to do. They just focus, and they become these advocates for their kids. They end up isolating themselves many, many times because of the child's situation. So they're in their houses, keeping the kids protected.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going in and out. They don't have friends. And a lot of them moved to different states for medical care, and then they lost their family. So
Right.
now they're doing everything without any support. And they really need the support of the community. And we call them hidden heroes.
Mm.
And they really are. I remember that I didn't realize it at the time, but after Hannah's second transplant, and she was 28, no, excuse me, 25 then. When I started the foundation, I just wasn't feeling myself. I realized, wow, I just am not able to mentally do as much as I used to do. And I would get tired faster, less energy. And the thought of doing some things just really, I was like, no, I can't do that. When I was never that way. You saw my bio. I mean, I ran ministries. I just was
Yeah, busy
active.
lady.
But as I started researching, once I started the foundation, I started researching burnout, caregiver burnout. And I read through the list and I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
this is me. And I
Yeah.
didn't even know it. I was in a depression.
Yeah.
And that's where I couldn't get myself to do more. I wanted to, but I couldn't do it. So I had to go get some help. And that started me on a new journey of how to help myself. And now I even have more tools to help caregivers.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I remember during that period of time when my youngest daughter was, from 3 weeks to 9 months, going through that period of time, we came across a list like that had, I think I remember 10 things, and it said, if you can check 3 of these, you're in trouble. If you check 5 of these, you need to go get professional help. You know, we checked all 10, so I was like,
Yes,
yeah,
you're in the thick of it. Yeah. And that's
yeah,
most caregivers.
it's so difficult but you do it,
Yeah.
you just put take
Right.
one step at a time, and you just do it. I'd come home, I'd
It's
get up at
brave.
5:30 in the morning, go to work all day. I'd come home and Karen would, um, she'd just like here, and
Yeah.
so, and then I'd take her till 2 a.m. or something, and then get up at 6 again, and
Mm.
try to, man, I don't even, it's so stressful just thinking about it. That was like 30 years ago almost. So,
Yeah. And it is that. It is stressful. And that's what they do. They're fighting for their kids' lives.
yeah,
And so they do whatever it takes without considering what's happening to them. So we try and bring a lot of self-care awareness
yeah,
for our parents at our dreams also. And just help them to understand it's okay to take care of yourself. You're not doing anything wrong. A lot of them feel guilty if they give themselves some special time away, and then they get scared being away from their child. Are they going to be safe? So there's a whole bunch of things involved in there
mm,
that just keep them on this little wheel of
high
staying
alert.
tired. Yes, high alert, stress, anxiety, overwhelm, with not enough downtime to help relieve some of that. And that's what we have found with the dreams, that if we can give them at least 3 nights of it, it does make a difference. They come in, you see their faces, they're stressed out. They're glad to be there, but you can just see they're stressed out. And then the morning that they leave, we do just a fun get together for coffee and donuts, and we visit and talk to them. They're holding hands, they're smiling, they've gotten sleep, they're happy, they've reconnected, and they're new people, and they are going home to those kids rejuvenated, just taking that new life in them home. So it helps the kids, it helps them, it helps the family. It has a tremendous ripple effect.
And I can tell looking at you and watching you explain that, how much energy that success is giving you so that you can rejuvenate and go back and bring it and scale it. I know scaling's not easy. What you're doing to scale and that your goals are amazing. I mean, what you're going to be able to do with your vision is incredible. I want to find out, as a founder, and you explained at the beginning of our chat that you didn't know what you were doing. You had this epiphany and this download of this idea, and maybe divinely inspired, and it was right, and it just came to you, and it's like, okay, I need to do this. I want to do this, but you just went out into the unknown. And I'm sure you had some angst and anxiety, but you pushed through all that. Based on that initial feeling and looking back on it now, are you glad you went through all of that? I think I know the answer, but express to me and our audience how that feels, and the success and the risk that you felt that you were taking at the time. Was it really a risk?
I don't think I felt it was a risk at the time because I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah, right. Okay.
To me, it was just, oh, this will be fun. We're going to grant some dreams. We're going to help some caregivers. At my very core is service. I just love to help people. That's what we did in church before. So I just looked at it as, wow, we're going to get to send some of them away. I pictured the dream that we'd be able to create for them, the happiness. I knew what they would feel because I've felt it. And so that's what I was focused on, and just blindly moving forward. And everything was fine until all of a sudden my depression, my caregiver burnout showed up. That's the first thing that showed up. And thank goodness, because then I had the awareness of, all right, something's going on here with me. I need to take care of myself. Doing that and going to get help has then given me even more to help our caregivers with. And then we started just working on how to do it. I started networking. That was one of the things that someone suggested to me. I didn't know how to build this. I just knew I wanted to, and I was excited. I wanted to start granting dreams. So I found the nonprofit that would refer parents. And so that was great. I had that component. But now I had to raise funds. How am I going to do that? So I joined a networking group. And that was really difficult for me to do because I was still in that depression. And I had overwhelm and anxiety about getting back in there. And I had to talk each week. But it was the best thing for me. It helped pull me out. And then I used some of the tools that I was learning from my coaching to get better at that. And so it was through a lot of networking, which ended up being one conversation to the next, one relationship to the next. And that's what I learned is the secret ingredient, is just making relationships and getting to know people, sharing my passion, my mission, and then finding out what they're passionate about, making it two ways and seeing how I could help them. Some of them jumped on and wanted to help us. Some of them just wanted to know about us. But through that networking, that one conversation to the next, then they'd say, oh my gosh, you need to talk to this person. And they'd refer me. I'd go and have that conversation. And it was just building these relationships. I joined the chamber, which is just more networking.
Mm-hmm.
And through that, I built trust. We granted a few dreams. Those groups saw that we did exactly what we said we were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I built trust. And then through that, we found our people that said, oh my gosh, I love what you're doing. How can we help? And they jumped on. And so, yes, it was worth it. Was it easy? No. This has been one of the most difficult things I've done, but it has been the most rewarding. And it has been a journey for me also because it has helped me heal from what I've been through.
Mm.
I just packed down all the hurt and the trauma from what I'd gone through with my daughter, watching her be poked and prodded and surgeries and transplants for years and years.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just in that mode of, I'm here, I'm your mom, I'm your caregiver, and I'm going to take care of you and make whatever you need happen. Neglecting me. We neglected our marriage sometimes. And we
Mm-hmm.
had 3 other kids.
Yeah, and they
So
feel maybe a little bit left out of the picture too, maybe.
yes, that happens a lot. There's definitely a dynamic that happens with the other kids in a family when there's a caregiving going on. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really my older daughter, I think it was affected by your sister coming into the world and needing all her parents' attention. She had 7 years of 100% and then nothing. And she had, I think,
Mhm.
yeah, but it wasn't until she was in her 20s that she was talking about it. And I'm like, wow, I am sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. That can definitely happen. What I have seen happen a lot of times with those dynamics is many times one of the siblings um, becomes someone that ends up helping in those areas. I've got 2 examples, but my oldest daughter, who's 12 years older than Hannah. So
Hmm.
Hannah's born, and my oldest daughter's 12, and she's like a second mom. She just loves this new baby and everything. But then this diagnosis happens. We take Hannah in, they do major surgery on her. We bring her home and they do things much differently now. But back then we had to do some things with Hannah medically that I would just stand there and shake and break out in a sweat. I'd have to rip this one bandage off of her little tummy. It was glued on. She'd cry. She's kicking and screaming. And at that time, she was only 9 weeks old.
Oh man.
And we'd have to, without going into it, we just would have to do some things with the plastic syringe to get bile back into her liver.
Hmm.
And I'll always remember one day I'm trembling and I'm taking the bandage off and I'm feeling bad that my baby's crying. And my oldest daughter just looks at me and she goes, here, mom, let me do it. And she just kind of does this and she nudges me over and she
Hmm.
just starts taking care of her sister and putting the new band-aid on and all this. And
Oh.
today, Tennille is an amazing nurse. She's been with MD Anderson for about 24 years, and her passion came from taking care of her little sister.
Oh.
And so many times that can happen. They'll end up in service, helping in some way because of the home situation and what they learned, and they just become equipped because of what they saw happen and how
Mhm.
they were involved in it.
Yeah. In fact, my oldest daughter is a nurse too. She works in critical care ICU,
Wow.
and yeah, very valuable team member at the hospital.
Yeah, that's a very serious post.
Yeah.
Critical.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, well,
Mm.
so these always go so fast, these chats. I have one last question for you.
Okay.
Uh, it's it's basically looking at your whole life. Everything we talked about when you and your husband met at first, but even before that, if it makes sense. Um, what's the boldest leadership decision that you've made, and what were the consequences?
Well, I would definitely have to say starting Grant to Dream
Okay.
is the bold leadership. Knowing where I want to take Grant to Dream and knowing that it's going to be my leadership and my passion that continues to lead this foundation to where in 2026, hopefully we're granting 1,000 dreams.
Hmm.
It's all about leadership. And so I focus on me more than anything. I kind of call it a growth mindset. I have a coach and have had one for, I believe it's about 2.5 years now.
Okay.
And I just give most of that a big thank you that it has helped me through, because there's been times in the foundation, because what I was going through and what I've been through, I hit a wall. And if I hadn't had that coach in place helping me, I probably wouldn't have moved through it. And it also helped me move through it, but have some great breakthroughs.
Hmm.
And it has taught me a lot of leadership skills. Along with, I learned a lot by being a co-pastor. That teaches you by experience. But now I've been able to really hone them and want to continue to hone them. I love growing. I love learning, and I will probably have a coach for as long as I can, because that just helps me be the best leader that I can. And I think that's the most important thing, to making sure that Granted Dream goes where I want it to go and help as many people as we can, is just by me being the best leader. And then that trickles down to our executive director, our volunteer team, and we have a great team, just amazing, wonderful people.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Ann Townsend, for spending some time on the Bold Leadership Story Show.
Gosh,
And
my pleasure. Thank you for asking.
oh, yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah.
So I'm going to
Yeah.
say goodbye. I want you to stay on though, real quick. I'm just going to sign off, and so we'll see you next time.
Thank you, everyone.